This is Pod Populi, podcast for the people.
Welcome to the Real Pink Diaries, a podcast about the beautiful chaos of figuring it out as you go.
Hosted by three close friends, each episode creates a safe space for honest, unfiltered conversations about the in-between moments of adulthood.
From building businesses to setting boundaries, we're here for all of it. With humor, vulnerability, and heart, it's not always polished or perfect. It's the Real Pink Diaries.
Welcome to the Real Pink Diaries. How
Hello.
are you guys? Hi.
We just had a really fascinating conversation about like your backstory, and I found out things I didn't even know about you. So again, we talk about your cojones. So check it out.
Check it out. Part one.
In part one, we talked about your story from growing up in Cuba, going to high school in Cuba, and then immigrating to not to the States, to the Canary Islands, which is part of Spain.
Right.
Going to school in the Canary Islands, working in the Canary Islands, building up a nest egg for yourself, and then graduating and looking around and being like, what do we do now? Or what does Yaima, because her name was Yaima at that time, not Natalie. What does Natalie do? Where's Natalie's opportunities? Natalie's opportunities aren't really here. So your whole family, your mom, your dad, your brother were like, okay, we gotta make a transition for opportunities for ourselves. So for Natalie, Yaima, Yaima, I should say it right. I apologize for Natalie Yaima to.
She's like, I can't pick one. I have to say both.
I mean, that's your name. You moved it to your middle name, so I can say Natalie Yaima all I want.
Yeah, it's true. It's still that way.
Yeah. So you looked around. You said, okay, I can't find a job here. I need to go someplace where I can find work. So you looked around and you're like, okay, U.S., let's do this.
Yes.
And then you moved to Port St. Lucie.
Port St. Lucie.
Which is a suburb. So for y'all to give you an understanding, Port St. Lucie is not that old, and it's mostly like a suburban environment. It doesn't have a historic core.
It's like isolated houses that you have to drive everywhere to get somewhere.
A lot of gated communities, but not all gated communities.
Retirees,
Yeah, it's affordable, so that's why a lot of like retirees go there. Not like I mean, it's just in the same county where I live, but there's not like a lot of industry in Port St. Lucie. The industry is retirees.
Even not a big downtown area or job opportunities.
Well, there is not a downtown.
No, a tradition is the closest to like a restaurants and like a downtown area. Right?
Yeah, but even that's surrounded by gated communities.
Right.
So it's for someone that's start off in life living in that context with that median age being much higher than typical. It's kind of hard to find your people, hard to find your opportunities, but you did find opportunities. In fact, you started working in architecture before I did. So you moved here and you were like, okay, I've got this degree. It's architectural engineering. I want to find a job. So can you start us through that process, how that looked? How did you feel?
Yes. So I was very ready and very determined to find something that was in the field. I didn't want to go back to hospitality jobs where I was working for restaurants or stores. And I decided so I got a computer and most importantly, and then I got internet and we had a house and we were just settling down. And then I came up with this like email template, like a cover letter. And back then we didn't have ChatGPT or Grammarly, so it was all Google Translator.
Okay,
which can get you in so much trouble, by the way.
So let me start, you guys. I started off this conversation about talking about what it was like to come to America, and pursuing the American dream is the theme of this episode. But one of the big things about this episode is being a person who isn't their first language is not English. How is it coming to the US to be English as a second language, to learn the language at the same time as building your career as an entry-level person? That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's you're learning a new language, you're living in a brand new environment, brand new context, different social systems, different everything, in something that's completely different from what you grew up in and from what you went to school in Spain. But you did have a cursory, and like you learned English, and you took English classes.
So I had taken English classes before in Cuba. I was not very fluent in English. I started, when I got here, I started taking, that's probably the first thing I did, started taking classes. They have these centers that you can go at night or afternoons and start learning English. I did that for 2 months or 3 months, I think. And as soon as I got the first job, then I couldn't do that anymore. But how I got my first job was by sending these emails that I came up, and I just did it with Google Translator. And then I Google everybody I saw that had something to do with architecture, engineering, or interior design. And I must have sent hundreds of emails.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I got a lot of no's and rejections. Yes.
Well, I think I appreciate even like that was still like, so Port St. Lucie in Florida, there were some places that weren't hit as hard by the recession, but because I was living in the context, we were probably applying for the same jobs.
And that was 2013.
Yeah, so it was a little bit behind. The economy was even more sluggish in where we were, and you're sending out these emails. You're getting no's, which again, I respect a no. I appreciate someone like even
at least
respond.
acknowledging.
Yeah.
They didn't respond.
Yeah. So them responding and saying no, and you're sending out these emails. It would have been, oh, man, I wish we had got one of those emails, like dove back into your email. Maybe we'll put that. We'll put that
Maybe
on social media.
Maybe I still can find it.
Yeah, if we can find it, we'll put it on social media.
And I think I had my email was like yahoo.es or something like that.
Yeah, if we can find it. But you're sending out hundreds of emails. You're going on.
And I had a resume that I will attach to the emails as well.
Yeah, and weren't you like, you said you were going in like the yellow book and
Yeah,
going down the list?
If it was like less than an hour away, I would apply for it.
And were you were sending out emails, but were you also calling people?
No, I wasn't calling really much because I didn't feel comfortable speaking English on the phone yet. So it was more emails or just going to places and just giving them my resume. But yes, I got a lot of no's, but I got one yes. And that was my first job. I got, it was in this architectural firm in Store, which was which says like 45, half an hour maybe from Port St. Lucie.
So shout out to Raul Campo for giving Natalie her first opportunity. Yay. I mean, to take the hardest job to get is the first in architecture is the first job.
Oh my gosh, I was so excited when I got the email reply to schedule the interview. I was jumping of happiness. I got so many no's, and I was getting frustrated because I didn't know what else to do. And when I got that email, I was so excited. And then I had my first interview. And Raul is Cubano. He's Cuban, so he knew Spanish too. And I feel like he really resonated with my story and was really willing to give me the chance and the opportunity, even though I didn't know English fluently, and I didn't study architecture or engineering here, so I had to learn a whole new system and how to do things here.
Yeah, we build very differently.
What
here.
is a foot?
So different.
What is a meter? A meter is about a yard. What is a yard?
Right.
You don't use a yard in building. Like, why? But it's about the same. So like,
I remember in school a bunch of people who understood the metric system trying to understand our system, and she would just like jump and leap. She's like, "This is a yard. This is a yard. It'd be about 3 of these for like a bathroom." I'm like, "What are you doing?" It was very interesting how they like had to process like distances or like space around them.
You almost have to forget what you know and be open to relearn everything, because everything in the scale of things in your head
is different.
Yeah. How you the sizes of the rooms, the ceiling heights, the construction elements, everything is so different.
And also you have to reference the code and the code has dimensional standards and sizes, and you have to put that into the computer, and you have to remember, like, it's not as like, yes, ESL, English as a second language, like that was a huge barrier, but also the different like numbering system was, so everything, you had to deal with everything. I'm curious, did you do the interview in English or Espanol?
I think it was a combination of both. Yeah, I think when he saw that, my story, we switched to Spanish, and he told me about he being Cuban and all the stuff. So it was a combination of both, and I was able to communicate, but it was like a broken English, and I was able to understand 80% of things they would say. So it was not like I was from zero, but definitely I wasn't where I wanted to be or needed to be to have a.
I mean, that speaks a lot to him for like
Oh, yeah.
having the compassion to be like, I know the person and I know the drive you have. You just need time. And I'm willing to give you that time to get up to the level I need you at. And I'll hire you and I'll pay you and I'll do what needs to be done. And I think probably inside his head, he's like, well, if this doesn't work, I'll give her a certain amount of time. But I do think like it's a compliment to someone who can empathize with your story. Like that's he was the person you needed to meet.
Exactly.
He like stars aligned, right?
Stars aligned. Yeah. And also I think he saw my attitude, and I always approached it like, I don't know how to do this, but I am capable of learning it. I'm a quick learner. I can do it. I know I can do it. And I was very confident and willing. He saw my willingness to learn the things that I didn't know, and how hard worker I was. And that's how I think why he also gave me the chance. And I started working part-time for him.
And I think,
And he transitioned me into full-time eventually, but I think it was a great way to start and getting exposed to all of that.
I think it's also important to say that Raul does really nice work as well. So you were working in a like someplace that does nice architecture,
Professional,
does nice designs, and gave you that chance. You also were Natalie Yaima was also always working. Like I would, hey, you want to go do this? No, I've got freelance, and oftentimes you would have to cancel last minute because you had these opportunities because you were hustling.
Yeah.
So who were you working for if not for Raul?
So I know I got introduced to this builder through my family, Adilen's dad. That he was a very successful builder in Port St. Lucie, and he was getting back into it again after the crisis. He was starting building homes again, and he needed help with drafting. He knew what he wanted. He had the set that he'd used in the past. He just needed a fresh new set. And I had the AutoCAD skills and everything. And he was from Colombia, so we were able to talk Spanish if needed. So it was a great also transition into it. And I was doing Raul's part-time, then transitioned to full-time. And then after hours, I remember being until like midnight or 1 o'clock, learning and also practicing and doing this for as a freelance work.
You're a hustler, baby.
Well, and that's part of architectural and engineering work.
True.
Is you have deadlines and you have a lot of things that sometimes you're pulling an all-nighter and you're working all night.
I did one last week.
All night?
Yeah. Well, I went to bed at 4 and then I got up at 6. So
Pretty much.
yeah, it's pretty much an all-nighter. And I had to deal with a baby in the morning. It was great.
Is that when we talk after?
That day after it, I was like not making any sense, and I'm just like, ignore everything I'm saying.
My eyes are burning.
Yeah, my eyes are burning.
I know.
So
go ahead.
So when you were working at Raul's office, that was probably the time that was like your English boot camp in a way.
Yes.
So what was the English boot camp? What were the things that really like leveled up the learning curve to?
So things that I did once I started, well, first just by being in an environment where I was seeing emails in English, I was listening to conversations in the field already with technical words and in the architectural field and engineering. I was learning the professional language of how and seeing how to write emails. I think that really was really helpful for me. Then I made the purpose to everything I did had to be in English. Even searching for troubleshooting a problem in AutoCAD, I was try to at least, even if I didn't know how to say it properly, to do my best to put something in English there. So just by searching always in English, by listening a lot to shows or podcasts, I think I learned about podcasts years after that, but that really helped me in watching shows with subtitles to improve my listening skills, to understand when people would talk to me. And then the last thing you learn as a ESL speaker is is how to speak it properly. That's the last thing you learn. It's the hardest thing to learn. First, you read it and you understand most of it or all of it. Then you develop your listening skills, and then speaking it. It's just
making yourself communicate back after you've understood what's happening and you have that comprehension.
Yes.
Then it's like, okay, how do I communicate back the same that you can comprehend me?
I know, and it was very frustrating at times because I couldn't really have a conversation. Sometimes I wanted to say things or being part of a joke or tell my story and being more part of the conversation, and I just didn't know how to put it together, and I had to choose to stay silent.
And that's so isolating.
It is very isolating.
Or just frustrating. Like I want to have friends to get to know me as a person.
Yeah.
But I don't have the skills in this language to do it. So I might sound stupid, so I'm just gonna be quiet, right?
Yeah.
And that's the conversations you have in your head, and you're just like, I just want real friends.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we were friends then, and I never thought that you weren't able to communicate. But maybe you felt some kind of way, and I didn't realize it.
No, not with you at all. Not with Amy.
Yeah.
But just in a public setting with other people, when I just was afraid to sound stupid or not get stuck and know how to like fluently come up with a paragraph. But that, and then something else that I struggled was answering the phones. And I wasn't ready at first. I learned later, and I don't have an issue obviously now. Not where I want to be ever, but getting there. And so I remember crying going to work. Like,
why?
it was
because you were answering the phones?
because I got very nervous answering the phones, and I didn't understand sometimes fully what they were saying or spelling the name spelling.
Yeah. Well, also why were you answering the phones?
Right.
Is the next question.
Yeah, that was something that was I was kind of thrown into that to do that, but then was pulled back.
Smartly.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
So
and then when I was ready, then I started answering the phones.
So how can you run us through that? So how did you answer the phone?
Good morning.
Well,
and then you say the name of the company, and they kind of gave me the sentence to start with. But
Okay.
so the person who put me to answer the phone wasn't Raul or the person under Raul, the project manager, was one of the coworkers there, and I don't know why, but.
So he had the power. He was like, I'm going to put you on the phone.
I don't think Raul or the project manager knew I was doing that. They had put me to do that. So and when they learned about it, they were like, no, definitely, like, she doesn't need to do that right now.
Yeah, that's not why we hired her. Like,
Right.
that's not a
Yeah.
task she should have.
Yeah.
I still want to. Okay, I still want to do it. We're gonna do a practice. You're gonna answer the phone. You're gonna answer the phone. Okay, ring, 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 ring.
This is good morning. This is the Real Pink Diary. How can I help you?
She's good at it now because she's fluent. It's not the same.
What will you say?
But like, can you imagine like you say your thing and then you have to listen on a phone where you can't read like body language or anything else, and you just have to go on your knowledge of the language. There's an even more barrier because you can't see the person. And trying to like, I would flip out. I'd be like, this person's name called, I think I spelled it right, I don't know, good luck, here's the number. Like,
for me, that was really hard, and I still to today is one of the harder things for me. If someone spells out a name very fast, like I will miss something.
Do you know
If it's like a long weird, if not like the standard like easy names, I used to get very nervous.
Do you know you can record phone calls? Like if that were going on, right, and you had your iPhone, you could click the record, and then it will dictate it into a note on your iPhone. And if you look at your iPhone,
Even that, as an ESL, English
No.
is a second language. I sometimes do that, but it's a little frustrating because the phone doesn't get my accent. And I have to redo it, half of it. I have to redo it. I'm
So when you talk on the phone to like do like voice to text?
Siri, whatever, I'm like, okay, that's not what I meant, but I don't have time to. I just text it, like, you know.
Yeah, you do that and then you like edit it later.
I
Yeah,
have
I've
to
seen
edit
that.
it.
Yeah,
Like my accent doesn't come across like a native speaker for sure.
I mean, well, now we have apps like Grammarly that help, and like ChatGPT is like a different world now for people whose English is a second language, right?
Oh my gosh, that ChatGPT honestly has been a university for me. And Grammarly before ChatGPT was also really, really helpful. And I got introduced to Grammarly when I had the engineering job after working for Raul. I went to work in engineering, and they have all the tools and systems. And even everybody had to use Grammarly because they want to make sure the reports and the emails are sent out properly to clients. And that was my introduction to it, and it was really, really helpful for me to know how to say things more professionally. The passive tense,
Past tense, yeah.
Past tense, yeah, that we're trying to avoid when communicating with clients. So that was definitely a game changer. And then ChatGPT, now I use it as a tool where I can just, I put how I want to say it, and I put the overall sentence or the paragraph, and then I ask them to improve it. And I always learn from it, like learn how to improve.
It's like ChatGPT is a tool that's learning from us of what the content we put out, but then you in turn are learning even more from it. So it's like this whole circle of like technology learning from AI learning from people,
Exactly.
It's very interesting. I will say, as a person who worked in an office with people with the second language, I have a story.
Because it's true, you worked in an architectural firm that you had a lot of...
so there were two Spanish speakers in my office, but they were fluent in English.
Yeah.
They were from Ecuador. Amazing guys. They were from different parts of Ecuador. One was, I'll call him the mountain man because he lived up in the mountains. And the other one was like by the beach. And you could tell from their personalities, like they definitely lived different lives there. It was like one was a lot more laid back, funny, joking all the time. The other one was like a lot more serious, like how to get things done and make things work. It was very interesting in the personalities and where they grew up, even in that area, the same place, the same country is what I'm trying to say. But there was a guy who came in from Italy. And he was having his American dream moment of like trying to make it work. Got his first architecture job in our studio, and I had to direct him. I had to communicate with him with tasks and a bunch of other things. And he was still he was like, it was broken. Let's just put it. It was very broken English, and we were missing each other. There was one day where he was not understanding what I said, or I would say something and he would just say yes because he got nervous, and then he would do something completely different. And I'm like,
I've been there.
We need to figure this out. And we recognized that we both speak the same language of design. And so we would just sketch to each other back and forth, and I would like X this out and do this. And so we had a common language of sketching and drawing. So we started with that. And then there were the Spanish speakers, and it's very close to Italian. So he would say something and I would just turn to them and be like, what did he say? Like, what is happening here? But the funny story is that one day we were vibing. He understood what I was saying. I understood what he was saying. He was so proud of himself, and I was proud that I was like able to like communicate back with him, that we had a really good day. And he was upbeat about it, and we were leaving for the day. And so he goes, okay, it was really nice working today. I must be off. But he mispronounced I must be off, and he said I must be tough, which is a form of to beat off is a masturbation term. So I had to, in a professional environment, address this.
What do you do?
Yeah, so it was like, I asked him to repeat, like, and the other guys who spoke Spanish were like, what? And they turned their heads. And I was like, it wasn't just me, okay. And I was like, what did you just say? He goes, I must be tough. And I was like, and in a very happy note. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I'm gonna go. And I was like, say that. Don't use that phrasing. Because first of all, that phrasing is more like, you know, a English, like, you know, European way of saying, we never say we must be off. We say, I'm heading out, I'm leaving, I'm going. Like, don't ever use that phrase again. And I had to tell him what it meant. And he goes, oh my God, I am so sorry. Like, he was so embarrassed. It was a funny moment.
You see that? That's so funny. And that it happens very often. I remember like, you know the word I was telling you this earlier. The word excited. If you try to do, which many of us would do it because we always default to try to to translate it directly to Spanish, and many things you can do that as we learned. So this will translate into like excitado, which is nothing to do with excited, and it's very sexual. So I had to learn that earlier on.
There are things that you think are like so neutral and just I'm leaving, guys, thank you, and it was like, no, we can't say these words together.
No, that's so funny.
You guys ever watch Star Trek?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, so Star Trek has a universal translator in the ship. So if they're talking to any aliens or something, they'll understand it. I saw like that. So my friend and I are both like Star Trek-y people, and I saw that the new earpods that are coming out are going to have a universal translator in them. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like Star Trek. I was like, oh my God, it's like the universal translator. Oh my God. We're living in the future, but still, you know, that doesn't get everything right. And it's going to be.
But still, it's very helpful. All the tools that we have now, oh my gosh. Before any of these tools, I had to rely on friends like you guys and people, native speakers, that I wanted to learn how to reduce my accent, how to say these things. It's not taking it from a book and learning it from a book.
Yeah, it's totally different.
And Americans, we speak
very different.
Very different.
It's not a British term.
British.
Must be off is not something we say.
Well, I think typically we don't read directly from these outlines. Y'all always see us holding it up, but I think this is interesting, and this is from Natalie Yaima's words herself. I role plays with friends, ask colleagues to explain why something sounded neutral, practice little conversations at the grocery store and the gym. Oh my God, I love talking to the cashiers. I love it. I am always like, you know, Aldi, where it's real quick. I'm like, thank you for being here. I always make sure I say thank you, because Aldi, those people, they
do work hard.
They work extremely hard, and like Publix, it's still very hard, but I like, you know, always thank you for being here. But at the gym, every little chat counted, building confidence with every conversation. So you really think like just being in an environment.
Yeah, and just being brave and just putting myself out there and just not being afraid to talk and practice.
And acknowledging, yes, you're going to make mistakes, but you're surrounded by people that actually want you to improve as well. Yeah. And we're going to address, like, you might want to say it this way. Yes. You know?
And I was also very open for, I would tell my friends, and even Adilen, she helped me a lot too. Just tell me what I'm doing wrong. How can I say this better, or the right way of saying it? Because that really helped me a lot. Like, I learned from that. If I just keep saying it and people wouldn't tell me what I'm doing wrong, you don't learn from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you were open. If you weren't working, you would go. Like, I was like, hey, I'm going to my friend's birthday party. Do you want? I think you met at your birthday.
That might have been how we met.
Yeah. So like
I
think that like you definitely like. At that age, you definitely like were willing to go out and explore things and do things. Like, I think we went down to Miami and back in like one night, and Adeline was like, you guys can stay the night. And I'm like, no, I don't have a case for my contacts. That was my excuse. That's why we needed to drive back at 2 a.m. in the morning.
And also texting, texting with you guys and Adeline, even though we could text in Spanish, we chose, I asked her, no, let's communicate only in English. So doing that, watching TV shows, like talking to friends, definitely helped tremendously.
I also would like to, like, this is a little bit tangential, but Adeline just completed her graduate program.
Yeah, she got her master's.
So I'd like to congratulate her in a public forum.
Great accomplishment.
Yeah, and she completed her graduate program while working and
having a toddler.
Yeah, that's
insane.
very
Yeah,
impressive.
I
That's
know.
insane.
So you also, so tech, you use Grammarly, you use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You make sure you write the prompt first. You don't want to just ask ChatGPT for ideas, because then you'll end up with the same ideas as other people's, because
Yeah.
it's a universal consciousness.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's consciousness. I don't know.
Yeah, I got what you said. It's like
Yeah.
a cloud that everything goes there.
You make sure all tasks in English are a priority. You learn from entertainment. What TV shows were your favorite?
I don't know. I Netflix shows. I will put sometimes anything just to practice and listen to it, and with subtitles to see the grammar part of how you talk. You know, the grammar.
I like even going to your house today. You still have the subtitles on, even though you're so
I
fluent.
still have
Yeah.
it. I could not have it and understand it, but I still sometimes choose to have it. I don't know.
I watched.
I now do it in my house.
You do it
So
too?
like if the baby makes a noise or something and I miss something, I'll just read it real quick
Yeah.
so that I know what's going on. It's
Yeah.
like a really good hack.
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
I always watch TV with subtitles on in English, because I just like having the subtitles on.
Yeah.
It drives my parents crazy. They're like, turn off the subtitles.
Oh,
I'm
really?
like,
They
no,
don't
I
like
like the
it?
subtitles. I like it. I like them on.
Yeah.
But I also,
for-
but I also like listening to, like, there's been some like Spanish TV shows and stuff that I've watched, or like other language, or Korean. I've watched a couple Korean dramas. But the downfall of not being bilingual is that I have to be reading it to watch it. So like there's the, like, what's that show? I just realized there's the fourth season is out, Acapulco, on Apple TV. Yeah, I
No
think
idea.
you've watched that.
I don't remember.
I think you have.
What's the name again?
Acapulco?
What is that?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God,
no
it's
idea
so
what you're
much
talking
fun. Do you have Apple TV?
Yeah, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
You've watched it.
Just tell us what it is.
It's this kid, it's told from, like, he's like a wealthy person now, and he's telling the story to his nephew about how he came up in the world by getting a job at this resort in his hometown of Acapulco. Am I saying the word?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I
now
watched
she knows what you're
that.
talking about. I
So
still have no idea.
So half of it is in English and half of it is in
yeah.
Spanish. It's very
It's
a
very
very fun.
good.
It's
It's
very
very good,
funny.
yeah.
But like, I was about to start watching it, and you know, even if I'm not, a lot of times I'll be watching TV and just kind of surfing like my phone on Instagram. So if I want to surf the phone on Instagram or do the dishes, I can't watch like a ESL or show. Well, not, but anywho. So yeah,
I would watch the news when I was learning another language. I would watch the news because it's a little bit more technical. There are visuals to it, but I have to pay attention a little bit more because they speak quickly. It's a different type of I don't know, way of learning is like, it's a little bit more technical. It's very interesting.
are you ever shy on time, but you have to figure out how to do something in like your drafting software, and then you watch a YouTube video
Yeah.
and you put the YouTube video on like 2 times or 1.5 times?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you could do that with the news, but slow it down.
Well, not while I'm working, but yeah.
Yeah. No, but you can slow down and speed up things.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
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 So definitely the tools, the entertainment, and I think listening to podcasts was really amazing.
Yeah.
Also because I was learning so much about the building codes and all this stuff with the architectural, that really also helped me a lot. Reading books or reading articles, searching online. Well, I think we
We didn't
have-
cover everything. We didn't cover how
Oh,
building.
well, there was a time where you took me to Tenerife.
when we went to Europe.
Yeah, we had a
Let's
Euro
flip
trip.
it for a
For a
moment.
minute, yeah.
So let's make this a third episode. We're going to talk about how learning the second language allowed you to pursue the American dream and get you, or a third episode, it got you from where you are today to where you, or from where you were, from Raul's office to being this fabulous international realtor.
Yeah.
And somewhere within that, you took me to Tenerife, and I was the fish out of water. And it was an interesting
And we're
story
gonna get
there.
into
yeah.
that as well.
All right.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
guys.
listening, and we'll be on social media as well. So go and check us out there, and
Thank
can't wait to
you.
see you.
Give us
Bye-bye.
a listen, give us a follow, give us a review on Apple and Spotify. We'd really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Should we sing it?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
The Real Pink Diaries.
We're working on it.
Thank you for listening. We had so much fun, and we'll look forward to spending time with you in the next episode.
Please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Real Pink Diaries. You can also find us on YouTube. Check out our show notes for additional ways to connect with us.
See you next time.
Bye.